You're listening to the OCD Stories podcast, hosted by me, Stuart Ralph. The OCD Stories is a podcast dedicated to raising awareness and understanding around obsessive compulsive symptoms. I do this through interviewing inspired therapists, psychologists, and people who have experienced OCD. Welcome to the OCD Stories. Welcome to episode 447 of the podcast, and in this one I got on Nadav, who's kindly agreed to share his OCD story with us. And in particular, we discuss obsessing over if he had damaged his hearing and the compulsions around this, starting exposure response prevention therapy, sexual orientation OCD, zoophilia OCD, obsessing about obsessing, imaginal exposures in ERP, social anxiety, and much more. And thank you to NoCD for supporting the podcast. NoCD offers effective and convenient therapy available in the US and outside the US. To find out more about NoCD, their therapy plans, if they currently take your insurance, or to download their free app, head to go.treatmyocd.com/the OCD stories, or the link will be in the episode description. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting our work. To sign up to our Patreon and to check out the other benefits you'll receive as a patron, please see the link in the show notes. So thank you so much to Nadav for sharing his story and giving his time. And of course, thank you to you guys for listening. As always, I appreciate it. And without further ado, here is Nadav. Welcome to the podcast, Nadav.
Thank you so much, Stuart. Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. So as you know, I'd love to hear your OCD story, and you can share that in as little or as much detail as you want to give.
Okay. I would like to, maybe I'll talk a bit about myself. My name is Nadav. I grew up in Israel. Now I live in the Netherlands, where I do my bachelor's in econometrics. So I'm actually almost done. My thesis is handed, and it kind of feels like an end or a new chapter of my life right now. So that's also why I chose it would be a good timing to share my story. Um, I'll start where the OCD fired, actually, not where it started. It's like where it started, because like most people with OCD, we don't know we have OCD until we realize we have OCD. And where it fired was, I think it was around 2017, something like that. So quite a few years back. I was doing my national service back then, and which is mandatory in my country. And I was very unhappy. Um, I didn't know why I was unhappy. I had all the reasons to be happy because I had really good people around me. My family is awesome. I always had great connection with my parents and my sister and also my brother. But yeah, I was just feeling not good, and I was currently always contemplating, couldn't live in the moment, could not have fun with my friends. Um, yeah. So how the OCD fired is um, it's a really interesting story. So I was going out in the weekend with some friends to a party like an hour or two drive from where I lived in Jerusalem, and we used to do it a lot. Go like every second weekend or something, just to let go, have fun. And we went to the party. We were drinking a bit before, and we going into the party, and instantly I realized, oh, the music is very, very loud. The music in this party was very, very loud, and it kind of hurt my ears. And we talked about it a little bit. But we got into the party. That was a long night. And when everything over, about 5 in the morning, we're starting to go back, and we go into the car, and I all I can hear is like this ringing in my ears that I never had before, which is weird because I'm a musician in my free time, so I had a lot of exposure to really loud volumes and guitar. I'm playing piano for a lot of years now. I also play the bass, but yeah, it was really weird to me. I never like experienced this before. And as we were sitting in the car, um, one of my friends said, "Oh, this ringing in your ear, it's actually your uh, those little synapses of receptors of sound in your ears that they're dying, and that's why they're making this sound. And and he says, yeah, normally it goes away in like 12 hours, 16 hours. Yeah, but I heard that and I went to sleep, and, and that's how my entire fiasco with my hearing started. Um, Basically, from this event, the tinnitus, it's called tinnitus, by the way, the tinnitus faded away a little bit. But after 2 weeks or so that it still stayed, I decided to go to a medical examination, and I had a test, a hearing test, which came quite normal, but again, not normal enough so I can relax myself. And this tinnitus didn't go away. And I checked, and I went to many doctors, did every possible test. That was still in my national service thing. So it's this entire story is spanning about 2 years. I'm telling it in 5 minutes. Um, but I was socially like distressed. It became to a level that I had very low tolerance to noise. Um, so I stopped playing. I stopped going to parties. I stopped going to bars where the music is loud. When my friends met, they knew that we have to go to quiet places or to coffee places or stay at home. So my entire social interaction with my friends, which are, by the way, really good, I had really good friends. It's completely like changed, and they didn't know what's going on with me. And I suddenly, from this like successful guy, like quite young, very ambitious guy. I became this guy that is basically afraid of everything that is not his home, everything that is not quiet. So yeah, as you can imagine, this really influenced me in many levels because I basically try to isolate myself from the surrounding. And being a musician, that's basically my only hobby in life was traveling and music. So I would play piano, I would listen to music, I would go to concert. I love, like everything in my life was about music, and that completely shattered me. So I became super depressed, and I had a lot of anxiety. And at the end, a few months before I was supposed to finish my service, I was released because I was so depressed, and they let me go and say, yeah, you have to go figure out what's wrong with you, basically.
Mm.
Um, and it continued. Of course, I didn't know I have OCD. I thought I'm losing my hearing, and I thought I have to do something about it because I'm only 19, only 20. Uh, I cannot just let it roll. So like being also a very analytic guy, I was like making a chart. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. So like that's what I did. I went to a lot of doctors. I did a lot of bizarre hearing checks that you wouldn't even think they exist. There's so many weird tests that I got dragged into. Um, and it wasn't until I went to this doctor, which was the head of the ear, nose, and throat department in the Ichilov Medical Center in Tel Aviv, which is the best hospital in the country. And I met this guy, which was an authority, of course, because he knew everything about ears and hearing. And I went to him with all my results, with my story. Um, and this guy just looks at me and he's looking me in the eye and he's telling me, I don't really know why you're here. Uh, it seems like you have some sort of problem which is not in your ears, but I don't know what it is. But you do not have a problem in your hearing. Your hearing is completely fine. And when you walk out this door, I hope you'll find other treatment, psychological treatment that's going to help you because you have nothing in your ears. And that was a major, was a very difficult day, but also a very happy day because I was quite convinced at that point that there's something a bit weird about me losing my hearing. Well, whenever all the doctors say it's, it's not what happening.
Mm.
And I started questioning, am I actually really unique? Am I actually losing my hearing because of this one-time event? Probably not. Um, a few weeks or a month later, I started ERP, and I heard about OCD, and I started ERP, and we started doing exposures to basically me losing my hearing, going to loud concerts, without earplugs, not using earplugs at all. I did a lot of exposures and recorded them and listened to them over and over and over again. And there was all kind of crazy stuff in these exposures, um,
Mm.
but yeah, that's what started my OCD journey. I was about 21, 22, where I realized that a lot of stuff in my life that didn't really make sense now make a lot of sense because I was obsessing over them. And this is how my OCD started, basically, or how I realized I have OCD. So I kind of started from the end or from the start, depends how you look at it. Um, But yeah, that's how I realized I have OCD, and a lot of stuff in my life started to make sense. Um, and after this, I have basically every possible OCD, obsessions. I actually wrote these down. I could just like
Yeah.
go over it real quick, but I have everything from sexual obsessions to, zoophilia obsessions. I thought I was gay when I knew I'm not gay because I had girlfriends before. So
Mm.
sexual obsessions were really, really strong because I cared a lot about girls and dating and all that. So that was also a very hard struggle uh,
Mm.
to move on from. And more recently, I've been having obsessions about obsessing because I know I have OCD and I've been trying to do the treatment to perfect. So I started obsessing. Maybe I'm obsessing. So I had also a lot of these very complex obsessions to understand. But then I still go to therapy once a week or two, and when the therapist looks at it, it's very simple to him. Oh yeah, you're doing this. Oh yeah, you're doing that. So I've been doing ERP for the last 4 years, and I've had
Mm.
actually tremendous result. It really I got my life back in so many senses, and I'm able to make decisions and know that this decision is not perfect and it might be wrong, but whatever, you know,
Mm.
like I started looking at life more like a game, which it wasn't before. Everything matters a lot. Everything matters the world. And also medication helps. I've been also taking, I think it's SSRI.
Mm.
Yeah, it also helps a lot. And that's the gist of my story, actually.
Nice. Nice. Well, yeah, well, thank you for sharing it. And I'm glad the therapy's been really helpful for you. So when you started therapy, you were in Jerusalem or Israel still?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tel Aviv at that point.
Tel Aviv. Okay, yeah. Um, and yeah, was it easy to find a specialist there for OCD or someone who
Very
does the
easy.
therapy? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very easy. Thankfully, I have my mom was really supportive, and my mom is a teacher, so she knows how to work with kids, right? And she's very attentive. So she helped me a lot finding a therapy. Um,
Mm.
she took me to this general practitioner, and we asked for a referral for a CBT. We didn't know I had OCD back there. We said, okay, but this guy needs CBT. So we got a referral to CBT, and online we found the therapist who's actually my therapist since uh, is a great therapist. And yeah, it was really easy to get therapy,
Mm.
and um, it's just amazing how easy it is, but nobody knows about it, or at least I didn't know about it, like
Mm.
because nothing felt wrong. Everything felt like, okay, I have a problem and I'm trying to like analytically find a way out of it, right? Very like
Mm.
kind of linear thinking. So I'm losing my hearing. There must be something over here that might help. So nobody took me out of this like framework of trying to understand what's going on until that doctor shocked me, right? And I handed control to my mom. I was like, okay, mom, I don't know what to do. I know I need some sort of help, which is not like medical in the sense of something wrong with my body, but medical in the sense of there's something not going great with my head. And just I would also like to share that that's something I haven't heard really in in your podcast or in other OCD books, for example. Um, so what I had in my ears is like now I know that my mind was causing it because I was obsessing over my hearing, but I also had some physical implications that happened. Like for example, I had fluids in my ear, which is what the ear does when it's in distress, when there is some sort of inflammation. The ear produces fluids to fight
Mm.
this inflammation. So I had a lot of these fluids in my ear, which kind of like fueled the cycle of, yeah, I do have a medical problem. I'm not lying, right? Like, look at that. The doctor said, you have fluid in your ears. That's not normal. So like that was something completely insane that I was so persuasive to my brain that he would like actually trying to fight a problem that didn't exist. Um,
Mm.
and obviously, when we tackle these hearing obsessions in ERP, obviously this tolerance for noise went up a lot, very fast, and those fluids like they're gone, right?
Mm.
And so yeah, and it's coming back here every now and then. So I was in London a month ago, and we went to this club. It was a really fun night, but we're
Mm.
going to this club, and the music was again very, very loud, and and everything just fires back. I want to run away. I really wanted to run away. I wanted to go outside, smoke a cigarette, or for whatever reason, just trying to escape it. And
Mm.
and staying in this club was like one of the hardest OCD fights I had in the last year. Even though I knew that this is not real. I don't have a
Mm.
problem in my ear. It's okay. You should like people should take care of your hearing and using earplugs. But right now it's OCD. Right now it's not real. So it never
Mm.
really leaves. But what stays is the mechanism that this is OCD. This is not important.
That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, that it might come back and might feel real, but you've got more insight and knowledge now to stick with the plan, the recovery plan, and um,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, nice one. And I think you did say this, but when you were in the thick of it and you were going through the hearing obsession, did you stop playing the guitar and music altogether?
completely.
Yeah.
So for those 2 years, I stopped playing the piano, or of course I tweaked it a bit, right? So I tried to play the piano very slow, very
Like gently.
I tried to play it very lightly, or I played it with the silencer. In a piano you have a pedal that silences it, right? And it's
Mm.
meant for people who play at 1 a.m., for example.
Okay.
So the piano became so loud to me. Everything sounded so loud. I definitely stopped playing
Mm.
piano, and I stopped listening to music, for example, in my headphones. And because even putting the headphones in my ear gave me so much distress because I was starting obsessing about the hearing volumes in my ear because
Mm.
my right ear felt like better than the left one. So I would try to like change, the balance my phone so I will hear everything the same. But of course, my hearing with both okay. So like everything related to sound basically caused me distress. Um, so that's why I became so depressed because in high
Yeah.
school, every time I wasn't feeling great, or every time I was bored, I would play the piano. I did my recital in jazz, and I've been improvising a lot and playing with my friends. All of my friends were musicians in high school, so like
Mm.
that's why I became so depressed. because I couldn't do what I like, you know. So life became so boring. Life became nothing. I would go to the, to the base where I had my national service. Luckily, there was no loud sounds involved. I was just sitting on a computer, so
Mm.
like going every day in the morning wasn't a problem. But like taking the bus was a problem. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit in the back because the motor would roar, right? And I felt
Mm.
I didn't feel good. I was really scared. So I would sit in the front of the bus. But then the bus driver would hear radio too loud, so I had to go back. So it was like in every
Mm.
aspect of reality, basically. And
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, really overwhelming. Really like, and sound is everywhere, right? So
sound is everywhere.
yeah, yeah. So it's just
Sound is
triggers
awesome.
constantly. Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
yeah, sound is amazing. The birds, everything is great,
yeah,
about sound. But yeah, it was so hard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing, but not when you're like triggered by it. And yeah. Um. All right. And where are you? I was going to ask before you said about the club in London. Like, where are you at now with it? And that kind of answered it. But is it? Is it like daily you get triggered now, or is it not much rarer than that around the sound?
No, I have nothing around sound right
Okay.
now. But as my therapist goes, like never believe OCD. It's
Yeah.
every time it comes in a different costume. So I have costumes, and that's why I'm going to therapy still, because
Yeah.
like you know there are many other costumes. After we kind of finished with this hearing obsession, we moved on to. I quickly said something about it. We moved on to dealing all the sexual obsessions, which are way more overwhelming in the sense of like I'm I, I did communicate to people about my hearing problems. I said, yeah, I have a hearing problem. Can you please talk, quieter, So I was communicating it. Like I
Mm.
wasn't proud of it, but I was like, oh yeah, I thought it's a medical disorder. So it was okay to talk about something medical. But now that we moved on to the more very personal obsessions, like, zoophilia,
Mm.
I was scared to go in the street and look at dogs, because like I thought I want to have intercourse with them, for example,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know. So we moved on to this kind of stuff, and I wasn't sitting in the bus next to guys because I thought I'm becoming gay.
Mm.
So we moved to this kind of obsession, which were very really really hard to treat because it was only me, myself, and the therapist. I would not talk about it because I was highly ashamed by it.
Yeah.
I was ashamed that I'm looking at dogs and feeling weird. I was ashamed I'm that maybe I'm gay, even though deep down I know I'm not gay, right?
Mhm.
Um, so we moved on to those obsessions, which were very hard to treat, but at the end proved to be just OCD, right?
Yeah.
Like the beauty of the therapy is that you start and you start and it feels like there is a huge mountain you're trying to push. But then, like after 2 weeks, it felt like just like a little hill, right? Because it's just
Mm.
gone. Those like highly intimidating stuff that your mind makes up are just disappearing. They're like dust in the air,
Yeah.
So that was very encouraging, seeing or realizing that basically nothing matters when it comes to this OCD stuff. It's very easy to treat in ideally, like the idea of treatment is very simple, but it's very hard to do. But getting these like constant rewards that I got over those hearing obsessions. I got over those sexual obsessions. So whatever comes now is gonna be easy, piss easy, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And with the dog obsessions, what were some of the exposures like for that?
The exposure was that I am fucking a dog in my bedroom, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And the dog that I was really scared of, we even named it Rico. Me and my therapist, we named it Rico. We're like, my therapy was having a lot of fun, in those sessions
Mm.
because he did it as real as possible, but I knew that he's laughing, because he's a therapist. What else can he laugh at?
yeah,
That's what he's getting. So yeah, so I had these exposures that I am having sex with a dog in my bedroom, and we're trying to do everything to get the anxiety more, more, yeah, well, to raise the anxiety.
yeah,
And when only, having sex with the dog wasn't enough, so we put my father in the picture. So we said, oh, your father is walking into the room, and then he sees what he sees. What happens
mm,
next, right? He kicks you out of his home, or or
yeah,
or or, or he, so we always try to make it harder and harder and harder.
yeah,
A lot about society. What would my family think if they knew I'm attracted to dogs, right? What would they say? Um, what would my friends say? Would they stay friends with me? Probably not. So you make an exposure about this, and so you try to make the story super super hard. And I would listen to those story like every day, and then we change it a bit. So that's how we treat these obsessions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of sort of imaginal exposure. So yeah, yeah. Were you writing down like the script, or were you just saying it out loud, talking about it as an exposure?
We would write it down during therapy, and then after therapy or during the therapy, I would just record it and
Yeah.
put in my earphones and just replay for like
Oh,
20 minutes a day.
okay.
Or
Yeah.
if it was too hard, maybe only once, right? Um, we did a lot of those imaginary exposures,
Yeah.
which were very effective with those obsessions that I don't want to talk about because I don't want
Yeah, of
anyone to
course.
know about it. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And with the listening back to the script, what was that like for you? Was it like really hard at first and it got easier, or did it stay hard sometimes? Like throughout the week, what did you kind of notice as you listened to it?
Um, well, obviously the first time you listen to it is the hardest, and then it's
Mm,
get easier because you habituate to the idea of you, possibly having sex with a dog. You get
yeah,
so the anxiety is going down gradually. But in regards to making those exposure, to actually writing new exposure, for example, for maybe more relevant obsessions, for example, for today, it never gets easier. It's always really hard
mm,
uh, to do those scripts and to record them. It never got easy, to be
mm,
honest.
yeah,
So it's kind of a struggle. Um, but yeah. So the exposure, I know that once you start listening to them, they become easier to listen to,
yeah,
but make the progress is never really easy.
yeah, yeah.
It's always hard. It's not an easy therapy.
Yeah, fair enough. And with the dogs, did the exposures ever like, walk around a dog park or near where dogs get walked or anything
Exactly.
like that?
I would walk, like in the exposure, I would go for a walk and I would see Rico, like how this how we named the dog. And then I would like, for example, I would try to get Rico in my home, or take him
Mm,
to the woods where nobody can see, and then would have sex. And Rico wouldn't like it, right? He would suffer.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so this
so
is
it's
all in,
really,
let's say this is all in the script, right? What you were writing down.
yeah, of
But
course.
like, did you
Yeah.
did you did you ever actually like? Did he ever say, or encourage you to like, actually go for a walk in real life and like walk near dogs just to trigger you or?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, definitely. So like from imagination, we went a bit more to reality of like just
Yeah,
just being okay with dogs around me, right?
yeah,
And going for a walk and maybe seeing a dog, or maybe not, but you still go
yeah,
for a walk, and even if there's a dog, you try to stay next to him, right?
mm,
I also really love dogs. Like I love
yeah,
dogs. They're funny, they're smart, they're beautiful. I love dogs.
yeah,
So in a sense, it was also good for him to like, it's like music. You're scared of music, but you should play because that's how you get over it.
yeah.
So we did a lot of that. Um, yeah. Um, Yeah, more lately, I've been doing mostly those exposures in real life, more than the exposures in imagination.
Yeah.
So I've been having a lot. I'm a bit of an introvert, so naturally I've been having a lot of those social anxiety kind of obsessions, or like,
Mm.
do I look okay? Do I not look okay? Am I supposed to talk to this guy? Maybe he doesn't want to be talked. So I've had a
Mm.
lot of those, and that's a constant struggle, to be honest with you. But what I do is about the same. Is like, for example, I had a few times that I went to a club and tried to get a rejection from a girl, right?
Mm.
Because those are one of the hardest real life exposures I did. Because I was so distressed about how I talk to girls, or how girls might look at me, or do I look okay? Do I smell okay? So I did a couple of times of literally trying to get rejections. And yeah, that's one of the hard, that's very hard to do, because
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
you cannot just listen to yourself talking to the microphone. You actually have to do it, and you probably get a rejection, right?
Yeah.
because I'm trying to get a rejection. I'm trying to look stupid. I'm trying to
Yeah.
like maybe sweat from my armpits, and show it. So like,
Yeah.
those are really hard. Uh, but it's also funny, like
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. Afterwards. Yeah. Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
get a
like
rejection?
of course.
Yeah.
I think I also got a number, which was very
Okay.
surprising. But
That's
yeah.
good.
But talking about it, like I have one good friend at home that he also has OCD, and we talk a lot. So we
Mm.
talk a lot about those weird exposures we do, and it's really fun. It's good times. Also with
Yeah.
my roommate, we talk. Um, she's studying psychology, so she's like, please
Oh.
tell me more exposures you did. She's really like thrilled about it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so it's also a bit of a fun thing to do in the end.
Yeah. So what else, so therapy, you said medication, what else helps you, do you think, with your sort of mental well-being or ACD?
Um, Lately, I've been trying to make myself create a routine in my day. I finished my thesis in my degree a few weeks ago, and then like this nothing, entered my life,
Mm.
because like I have my part-time job. I do some food delivery, right, just to pay
Mm.
the rent. And but other than that, like I had nothing. So I have good friends here. Yeah, I would see friends every evening, but that's not enough to fill the entire day. So I
Yeah.
started with this routine, and it's actually it's really good. It really forces me to do something productive with my day, and also it helps with the OCD, because the OCD, and also I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit of a dopamine addict, that I would go on my phone too much, and like go
Mm.
on YouTube too much, and like try to get like this instant dopamine rushes that help me feel good, but they're not good in anything other than the moment. So
Yeah.
when I stopped having school in the picture, like I become way more addicted to this dopamine, right? So I
Yeah.
put my phone on grayscale, and
Nice.
which makes it less nice, right? Like
Yeah.
gray is not really nice. So I've been doing a lot of those stuff. I work out every morning. I get a cold shower in the morning. I'm trying to start an online business now, so that's what I'm doing
Mm.
most of my time when I'm not working, or socializing with friends. So right now I'm having this new project that hopefully will
Yeah.
make me rich. But
Yeah.
even if it won't make me rich, it's way better than being a dopamine addict,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good
uh,
point. There's those apps as well now that they block social media apps. You set the time. So like,
yeah,
yeah, they're really good. Yeah, because you're right.
yeah.
That it's too addictive nowadays on social media and YouTube and other apps like that.
And
Yeah.
investing, I got into investing, so I check my stocks way too much. And
Okay.
the stock
Yeah.
market goes up and down, and you're trying to realize it. That's not going to end well, right?
No, that's true. Yeah. 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 Good point. All right. Nice. And words of hope for anyone listening. What would you tell them?
Um, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you're already in a great phase of your managing your OCD.
Mm.
So I think I can just encourage you more. And after hearing my story, you can know that like whatever is going in your head, whatever bizarre your obsessions are, if you can already label them as obsessions, but that's by the way already like also a great thing that you
Mm.
can kind of like separate who you are and your OCD, which is also part of you, but it's also, it's not a part of you that has to be so dominant. Um, so yeah, I think if you're already listening to this podcast, just know that I had the most whack obsessions and the most weird and distressful experience. So I'm sure whatever it is, it's not unique. You're not unique. I think you're not unique is a good point
Yeah, yeah,
in that
yeah.
context.
I agree. Yeah, it's a shared experience.
Yeah.
And then say you pick up the phone and call the 18-year-old you. What you tell him?
Hang on tight. It's gonna be a hard ride.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Good,
That's
good
what I would
words.
say. Like straight out of high school, everything seemed sweet. High school was really fun. I had my OCD, which I didn't know about, but mostly it was tolerated because I had good friends and I was doing
Mm.
music.
Yeah,
I didn't know it's gonna get so hard. Like I had no idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think going through therapy now that you're in a place where it's really helping you? I don't want to say have you learned anything? Has it made you different in any way, in like a good way, having gone through the process of therapy and maybe OCD?
Yeah, for sure. I know myself way better. As I said, I kind of started from the end, but like knowing that I have OCD and getting some tools to cope with it made a lot of sense about my past. I tried to realize patterns I had as a kid that I didn't quite know how to cope with when I was a kid. For example, like
Mm.
um, this one's quite funny, but like when I was a kid, I occasionally thought that I'm kind of a prophet, you know? I felt like God is speaking to me and like I have to do certain stuff to not upset God. And I think a lot of kids have it, like those like obsessions of trying to doing something that nothing bad will happen. I
Mm.
feel like I've seen a lot in the literature.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so a lot of this stuff made more sense. It's like, okay, I'm not a god, I'm not a prophet. I knew it, but like now understanding that was some kind of a mechanism of like cause and effect that my mind was kind of building
Mhm.
to reduce my anxiety about my surroundings. Like that kind of made more sense. Um, so I was a lot more compassionate about myself as a kid now. I'm a lot more compassionate. It's not that I did stuff wrong. It's um, I was just a bit overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do.
Mm. True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, good point. And then you got a billboard where you live. What do you want written on that billboard?
Um, this guy makes 10K a month, but 5 years ago he was completely broken. That's what I would say.
Nice. Okay. I like it. And then, is there anything else you wish you could have said or shared today?
Yeah, I want to say that I would like to say that I feel like a lot of us with OCD, we also have uh, maybe siblings, maybe parents that also have OCD, or we think they have OCD. Um, yeah, and I just want to share the struggle that, yeah, someone close to me, he also has it, but he didn't find a way to cope. He's still struggling and he's not coping, right? Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I just want to share that. Uh, 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 you guys, if you have someone like this that has OCD and but he doesn't want help, don't blame yourself. that's what I want to share, because it's really hard. And the reasons that I started treating my OCD were my reasons, but some people just don't see it. And when someone do not see a way out, I don't really know how you can help him.
Yeah.
So it's also sad. It's really sad, but it's also kind of like, straighten up, and hopefully this person will get some to this point. But now it's not the time, and it's not really you to figure that out for him.
Yeah, really good point. Good point. It's a tough situation. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I appreciate it, and I'm sure it's
Thank you
helped
so
many
much.
people.
It was awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. And thank you to our Patreons who helped make this episode possible. And if you would like to find out more about Patreon and the rewards and benefits, then there will be a link in the episode description. If you enjoy the OCD Stories podcast and would like to support us, please subscribe and rate the show wherever you listen to the podcast. And thank you to NoCD for supporting our work. If you want to find out more about NoCD, head to go.treatmyocd.com/the OCD Stories or click the link in the episode description. And quick disclaimer, guys, this podcast is not therapy. It is not a replacement for therapy. Please seek treatment from a trained professional. And until we speak, take care.